Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Jason Tucker, and this is WordPress Marketing Show, episode number 158. Spend your marketing budget wisely. Today's episode is brought to you by Serverpress, Maker's Desktop Server. They make local WordPress development easy. Check them out at serverpress.com. And Big Orange Heart, check them out over at bigorangeheart.org. You hear about them later. And Cloudways web hosting, check them out at cloudways.com. You can follow us on Patreon and support us over there. Go to patreon.com/WPwatercooler. I'm Jason Tucker. And this is my friend Bridget Willard. Feel free to go follow us on Twitter. Hey, how's it going, everyone?
Fabuloso.
Awesome. I love that we can just get things started. John Locke, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Awesome. Going good, going really good. I wanted to see if you could take a quick moment and just kind of start us off. Tell us who you are. Tell us what you're about, and then tell us like the SEO efforts and the things like that you're doing, so that way we can get a kind of rough idea of who you are as a person and who you are as a business owner.
Yeah, fair enough. Like you said, my name's John Locke. I have a little business called Lockdown Design and SEO, and it started back in the day as just WordPress development, but for the past 3 years it's been focused mostly on SEO, and primarily SEO for manufacturing and industrial firms with a little bit of like home services thrown in there. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
What got you into that niche like that? Yeah. What was it that got you into that?
It wasn't my first attempt at finding a niche, because that was one of the things that I was struggling to do, the first like 4 or 5 years, because I was doing a lot of work for other agencies, but it just wasn't getting me like exactly where I wanted to go, and I wanted to give myself a raise. So I needed to find some different types of clients. So I thought at first I was specializing in e-commerce and WooCommerce shops, but I just wasn't getting a lot of traction there. So I decided to pick something else, and I picked manufacturing after a couple, stutter steps there, and that one worked out really good. I got some clients like right out the gate that I was able to basically get them like more than a 10x on their return, like just 100x. And from that, I got a bunch of referrals from them. So I got a lot of clients.
Wait, did you say 100x?
By now, yeah, it's about 100x.
Wow, that's great. Sorry.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But like I said, through my own SEO efforts, I stopped actively trying to rank for like WordPress here in Sacramento, and focus more on ranking for SEO. Started doing daily SEO videos. I get a lot from a combination of either the videos or people finding my blog, or people finding me just searching for SEO company, either for manufacturing or here in town. So this will probably be my best year where I'm on pace to do that. Wow. So yay.
That's awesome.
That's huge.
Yeah, it is huge. I'm telling you. So
that's really cool. So how our whole topic today was essentially where to spend your marketing budget. We've talked about this quite a few times in the last couple episodes, and especially in like the season of time that we're in, and this like stuff that we have going on right now. Like, how are people spending their marketing budgets that you're seeing? Like, how are they spending them? Because I know that when we first started off, the first thing to go, everyone's always said this, the first thing that goes is marketing. It's like, we're not marketing for anything anymore. We're not spending money. We want to make sure that we have, a surplus of money to go. But now we're at the point where it's like, we need people to come back and start spending money at our businesses. Yep. And so, how do we start off with that? Like, how are these marketing, either marketing agencies or even like your customers, how are they approaching, these marketing efforts?
Yeah, great question. So, I mean, my philosophy, part of it is the marketing that you're doing today is going to produce the sales and the leads that you're going to get 6 months from now. It's never like a thing where you put in $1 today and you're going to get a lead tomorrow. It's always building up to down the road. So knock on wood, I mean, all the people that I have not cut back on the marketing. They might have diverted it into different things. I know other agencies and people, you know, if they have like restaurants or bars or hotels or things like that on their roster, it's going to be a different story. But the majority of people that I see or have talked to and my own client roster, they've either diverted it into something else and they're just putting their marketing toward that. So for example, a lot of people get leads from trade shows, especially like in manufacturing. There's like different trade shows for each like different little thing. And so people go to these trade shows, they get leads. And other types of people go to trade shows. Obviously, this whole summer got wiped out. So those people are focusing more on other things that they can do, whether it's email marketing, whether it's social media, whether it's SEO, content production. You know, these are all things that you should be doing anyway, because it's just a good habit to get into these things. They're big return for like what you're doing. You don't have to like load up, you know, 3 people and your booth and go to a trade show or whatever and get these leads. But you can just produce a piece of content, promote it on social, promote it to your email list, you know, do some SEO on it, measure those results, and you'll get leads from that for a long time. So that's okay. Smart. And so your question basically is like, how do you determine like what?
To start off, where should we starting off? Because I think the thing is that, you know, when you have a marketing campaign that's been running for an entire year, you have that kind of there's like a bit of a motivation behind it. There's a bit of momentum behind it. You're benefiting from last month's advertisement campaign. Right now, you're not benefiting from anything because you've essentially been running these like ads that are like, you know, COVID-19's a thing and we recognize it and we're sorry you're stuck at home. And it's like everyone's doing the exact same ad. And you can even see it. Go on YouTube, go do some searches for like, you know, COVID-19 ads. And every single one of them is like stock footage of empty streets. And people are just talking about how much it sucks. But
how much
now
care.
You know, we're Budweiser. We care. And
well,
it's
we
like,
don't
we're all
care
in
if
this
they care. You know what? That's the other thing that's annoying because we're not. Okay?
Right.
Like, don't tell me we're all in this together. You don't know anything about me. I swear, like, I made a monogamous friend, literally. Okay? She has live TV. You don't even know the live TV commercials.
Oh, it's the worst.
I don't care that your plumbing company does X, Y, and Z about COVID. Yeah. I don't care. Yeah. But one thing that I think is smart, and I wonder what John thinks about this, is they're saying, listen, we know it's hard. We have 18 months financing. So
right.
When is it relevant? And
yeah, that's a great point. So things that you can do, I mean, and it's going to differ for different people. I mean, obviously, but there are certain industries where you have to say what you're doing. So for example, if say if your business is like a school or a hair salon or something like that, you know, what are you doing to help your customers through this time? You know, so for a school, you could like move your stuff online. If you're a hair salon, I mean, you know, it's kind of hard to do that. Maybe you could, you know, do videos on how to cut hair at home or something like that. Those are all things that you can do. I know for the restaurants and some bars in some cities, they're letting them do, you know, delivery, but those become like more important things during this type of situation where the normal flow of life is interrupted and there's something different to it. So you have to be able to roll with those types of punches. So for me, what I'm thinking is, can we use,
I mean, obviously that's amazing. Yes, we have to roll. Okay.
Yeah.
But let's just make this a little more green, evergreen. Like,
Yeah.
okay, I have $1,000 to spend on marketing. Is there like, how does, I say SEO, but maybe I mean Google Analytics, but how can you use those kinds of results to see what's working and so that you can spend money in what's working? I mean, a lot of times I make fun of people who say my best leads are from Yelp. And I say, what do you use? Oh, I just use Yelp. And I'm like, well, that's why that's your best leads, like, so those people are stuck. But what about people that are just being like the machine gun fire, everything everywhere, and things just aren't working anymore, but they don't, I mean, how do you like go, okay, this isn't going to work for me anymore. I need to focus my money in places that work better.
Right. So, I mean, my advice with that is if you're gonna, if you have like a certain amount of budget, let's say like $1,000 a month or whatever it is, I wouldn't focus on too many things all at once, because you're not going to be able to measure as effectively and you're going to dilute your efforts. So just pick like 2 or 3 things to focus on at first, but you're going to want to measure like what you're getting. So for example, if you're doing, let's say that you're doing AdWords and then you're investing in Facebook ads, and we'll say like Twitter ads or something like that. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go to Google Analytics, and you're going to want to go to a tab called Acquisition, and then go to All Traffic, and then go to Source and Medium. And that's going to tell you like where your traffic is coming from each of these channels. So usually it'll be Google organic, Bing organic, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, pay-per-click, YouTube. No matter what it is, you can see that. But then what you can do is you can look at the quality of those leads by looking at how much time people are spending on the page, how many pages they're visiting to, and most importantly, if you have this set up in Google Analytics, and if you don't, this is something that you should go set up, is goals, and you can look at the goal conversion rate. So like for me, like goals that I have set up in Google Analytics are going to a thank you page for the contact form. So if you fill out a form, it'll take you to like a thank you page. That's a goal conversion. There's other pages, specific pages that I want people to go to, because if they go there, it means that they're interested in some of my services, the prime services that I'm trying to sell, like the 2 or 3 things that I'm most focused on trying to get people to buy. So you can set up other types of goals, such as, if people spend so much time on a page, or if they spend so much time on the site, or they visit so many pages. But you can look at the quality of the leads that you're getting from that. So you can kind of tell after a little bit, like, if Facebook ads are working, or if, YouTube or SEO or pay-per-click or whatever is working. And you can also tell too about like how many leads you get by source, because one of the things that a lot of people do is they'll put "how did you hear about us" in the contact form. It'll be like a required thing that you have to select. How did you hear about us? Was it through Google? Was it through Facebook? Was it through Instagram? Don't make it like too overwhelming, but choose maybe like 4 or 5 tops. But then, that'll help you as well determine like where people found you. So, and you can kind of tell too. And another thing that you can do too is if you have a WordPress site as well, in Gravity Forms, there's a hidden field that you can put. And this is especially useful if you have contact forms on different pages on your site, not just on your contact page, but you can actually put a hidden field there that'll tell you what page people were on when they submitted this contact form. So it'll give you a better idea of what page they're coming from. So you can use all these kind of methods to kind of tell what channels are working for you. So obviously, if you're spending, let's say, for example, if you're spending $1,000 a month on Yelp and you're getting nothing but garbage leads, or if you're spending a bunch of money on AdWords and you're not really getting any leads out of that, then you could try another methodology for getting people in the door. But part of it too is like, you know, before deciding where to spend, you got to kind of know where your audience hangs out a little bit and just have a little bit of a intuition of like maybe like where they would be looking. So before you know, go throwing money at different things. But if you determine like a channel is giving you nothing but like poor quality leads, then you can kind of get rid of that for a while and try something different.
How long would be the minimum amount? Like a month, 2 weeks?
Yeah, a minimum a month. I mean, and there's different sales reps from some of these different places that'll try and get you to sign up for like as long as possible.
I know Yelp is the worst.
Yelp is so bad. I mean, but I'll tell you though, for some things like home services, and especially in big cities, like it's really tough to like avoid spending money on Yelp.
No, I mean Yelp is bad about making you sign up for 6 months at a time at a really high, like $800 a month.
Yeah,
I dealt with them in travel. Yeah. You know,
if you're a web designer or like a marketer, I wouldn't spend any money on Yelp. I mean, I wouldn't. But there's other places that I would go. But if you're like in home services, if you're doing contracting or, you know, HVAC or plumbing or electrician, it's really tough because the way that Google works is if you search in your city for any of those services, more than likely the Yelp landing page for that city, or maybe even a couple of them, are going to be at the top. Now, there's two reasons for this. One is that it's giving people what they want, which is a selection of different service providers at the top of the page. So you're getting people to that destination. And you'll see that backed up as well, because you'll also see things like Home Advisor and Angie's List landing pages like that, the same type of thing. But the other thing is Yelp has a lawsuit against Google saying that they're like, you know, not giving their whatever antitrust, and they're like, you know, too much competition for us. I don't know if that's
Google My Business.
I guess. I don't know. It's just whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever. But so they're always going to be at number one. So for certain industries, this is like another type of thing that you need to do for SEO, is make sure that you're on Yelp. And as an aside too, if you're trying to rank in a local area, if you're trying to rank in your city and you do not have a Yelp profile, you need to have one. Because if you do not have one, it's going to hurt you. Google leans very heavily on Yelp as part of their local SEO algorithm. So make sure that you're on there, that you're getting reviews, that you mention like specific keywords or services that you provide in your company description. You know, all those things. But you have to be on there. But like I said, you know, with the landing pages and different things, these different things, you know, whether it's Home Advisor, you know, I know people that get leads from Home Advisor too. But Yelp makes it very difficult because there's not just like 3 or 4 like sponsored results at the top of the list. There's like 10 services. Very specifically, they make like 10 for like home services. So before you even get to organic results in Yelp, which is usually the #1 result on the page, there's like 10 sponsored. So it's hard to avoid spending money with them. Yeah. But I've heard a lot of people say that it's kind of there's questionable things. No matter how much money they put in it, like Yelp will spend it all and they don't seem to get any difference in leads. They get the same amount of leads no matter what. So make of that what you will.
Oh, that actually might be hurting Yelp's paid efforts.
Yeah. I don't know.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
But that like makes so much sense.
Yeah.
See, this is why I like the way we do our show, John. Because right now we're in the weeds about the Yelp, Google SEO, local SEO thing that never occurred to me. So, you know, back when we used to teach Sunday school, I'll do a little aside. my husband and I, when I say we, not me and Jason Tucker, but me and my late husband had Sunday school. We were in charge of the children's ministry, and we'd have Vacation Bible School, and you buy these curriculums and they tell you exactly what to do and exactly what to put on the walls and all this stuff. The first year we did it. Meh. The second year we said, you know what? We picked really good teachers. We're going to let them have free reign on how they want to decorate the rooms and what crafts they want to do. If they want to do the lame crafts, they can do the lame crafts. If they have a better idea, that's fine, right? Because we were about, at that time, we had, I don't know, maybe 350 people at the church. So it's big enough. And boy, oh boy, we had this lady named Jean, fine artist, okay? She painted Noah's Ark on 2 walls of this room. That was fantastic. She spent weeks doing it. And we were like, no, you don't need butcher paper, babe. You can just paint on the wall. This is epic, right? So sometimes you need to have a little bit of an idea, but you need to trust the people. And this is just another reinforcement. Like, this is such a good conversation. I never thought about competing for local SEO with Yelp. So smart, John. So smart.
What about if your company doesn't have a physical presence, but rather you're now, just an online presence?
In the ethers.
Yeah. What do you do for that? Because you can't. I mean, I guess you could use Yelp for it, but you're just telling people don't go anywhere except for this website. So what are people doing for that?
Right. So certain ones like that. So for Yelp, there are certain categories that you can't get a listing. It's usually like Google Maps. You have to have a physical location. Same thing as Google My Business. So if you have just online things, say like a course or something like that, that's where SEO and things like Facebook ads or Instagram, things like that, or YouTube, they're going to become more important, because that's primarily how you're going to get new customers and new leads and stuff like that. So that's why I say those other channels kind of aren't important, but you got to focus more on these other ones. So, and again, it's like knowing your audience. If it, some things Facebook ads works really good for. They're usually less expensive than Google ads. So that might be something that you try out if you're online only. But definitely you need to shore up your SEO as well. And I would highly consider having a YouTube channel as well, because again, YouTube videos generally appear in Google results. You hardly ever see a Vimeo video. You will sometimes, but usually it's YouTube at the top of the first page, because they're a Google property,
right?
And most people are on YouTube more so than Vimeo or Dailymotion or whatever. So it just makes sense to be where the people are.
Yeah, I mean, I decided to just I'm all organic for myself. And I don't do it for I don't do paid for clients except for boosting a post here or there. And I did a lot of Facebook ads only because I wanted stuff to be clickable on Instagram. And but then I decided, okay, well, let's try out. I just kind of A/B tested a Twitter ad and a LinkedIn ad for my ebook about minding your own business. Oh my goodness. Okay, first of all, I let it run for $10 one day, both of them. LinkedIn was $2 a click and brought almost no traffic to my website, obviously, because it's $2 a click for $10. Okay. Yeah. Words, Bridget. Twitter was 15 cents a click. And it did show I got a big spike, but not conversions. And so I said, you know what? I'm not spending this money this way. This isn't working. Okay. So I'm going to do my little Twitter contest and my Instagram contest. We'll see how that works. But the thing is that I was I felt like I wasn't even being I felt like I was being a bad client for myself, or, oh, I know it works. Twitter works the best for me, and that's all I'm going to do. And so I thought, well, Bridget, come on, like, see. So like I did that A/B test, and LinkedIn didn't work for me. It just didn't. So, or at least it didn't work for that product. So, yeah, I mean, the thing is that one of the things you said is you're spending this money for a result in 6 months. I love that, because I always say there's no such thing as a first click lead. It's not a Snickers bar. And even if it was, you still remember the commercial you saw when you were a kid about the rumbling, tumbling in class. And you're like, oh man, it's 2:30. I'm kind of hungry. I need a Snickers, So there's still brand awareness that's involved. And for that, I think it's valuable to, I think that's probably why you said to be in 2 or 3 places. Because even if people fill out your form, they don't always know. I mean, I'm a big advocate of filling out the form. In fact, it's blank. I make them type it in. But I get a lot of second degree leads from Twitter. Like somebody knows me from Twitter and then they refer me. So even though it says referred by Amber Pechen, I know that lead really came from Twitter, because that's where I met her.
That's a great point. And I think, especially with people in our community, with, web developers, marketers, and different things, we amplify each other because we know each other. And, all the people that we know run either, small agencies or large agencies, but they refer people that they know specialize in one thing. I get phone calls from people because they say, I know John and he's someone that I trust, like with SEO. So they, set up different things like that. And I'm in Slack channels and different things, and I hear your name come up all the time for Twitter marketing and social media marketing. I hear people say that all the time because you become known as the person in our community, WordPress community, as a person that specializes in that. Right. So you can very much become known for something through your peers, but it amplifies that message even more, and it just keeps extending out.
Right. So kind of my question is, in the measurements, that you're taking from analytics and all this stuff and your spreadsheets, how do we quantify that? Like for me, I don't have a spreadsheet yet, but if I built it really quick, so I only have 23 clients, but if I built it really quick, I could probably say like customer, when they like how many months, because I'm monthly or something like that, or the customer lifetime dollar amount, which is easy for me to find out in FreshBooks, referral source, second degree referral source, and then sort them or whatever. And I still it's going to be Twitter for me, and WordCamps. So like, what is your recommendation to get the whole picture? You have to like somehow put all the data together, right? I mean, that's what I'm kind of confused about. What's your recommendation?
Right. So you're talking, we're getting more into like lead scoring and stuff like that too, like, trying to assess like how valuable leads are based
doesn't that help you decide where to spend your money? Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It does. I mean, definitely there's like channels that I find are more valuable than others, or the leads that come from them tend to be more valuable than others. And for everybody, that's going to be a little bit different. But yeah, your idea is an excellent one, having different spreadsheets of, different customers and clients, where they came from, and being able to look at that data will give you a good idea of where to spend, and actually tabulating that data. So my friend Tim Brown over at Hook Agency has a good article on this. It's at hookagency.com/digital-marketing-budget. But it goes into a little bit of that, trying to figure out where to spend your marketing budget as well. a lot of companies are spending in content creation and promotion. So, putting stuff on their website and then promoting it through different channels like social or email marketing. That seems to have the longest term effect. But yeah, definitely you want to tabulate like where people come from, where customers come from, and make a note of that. It absolutely is a good thing. So
yeah, I didn't think about that till just now. Like this conversation is, it always does. Isn't that true, Jason? Like we have somebody on the show and then we start going, how can I apply this to my clients?
Or why didn't we name this episode this particular thing instead of this other one? That always happens too.
Crazy. Well,
hey,
we're gonna pay some bills, right?
Yeah.
Pay some bills.
Bridgie, you want to go for it? Tell us about our friends over at Big Orange Heart.
BigOrangeHeart.org is a place that specializes in mental health support from remote workers. It's our charity's mission to support and promote positive well-being and mental health of the remote working communities. Become part of the supportive community at BigOrangeHeart.org/join, BigOrangeHeart.org.
That's awesome. I love what they're doing over there, and
so cool.
The rebranding is definitely a thing that has to be something we need to go and actually have them come on the show and tell us about the rebranding efforts.
That would be rad. Yeah.
Woo, that's definitely a thing. Awesome. So let's see here. We've talked about quite a few different things here. The kind of getting these quantitative data out of the analytical packages that are out there is probably something that you, if you're not familiar with this stuff, you'll look at it and you'll find that it's like absolutely daunting. There's just a ton of stuff that's going on in there. But there's people that you can hire to do this stuff. Hiring somebody like John Locke that's going to do that part of it for you might be a good idea to just be like, hey, so my efforts are going to be in SEO, and I'm going to put a bunch of effort into that SEO, and people are going to be clicking on links and coming back to my website. Maybe I'm doing advertising, and I'm going to have those kind of come in from advertising and be able to look at it. But those ideas of figuring out what's the right way to collect that data and look at it. Have you seen good like reporting tools or even reporting reports that are within Google Analytics that people are looking at to be able to figure out if it's a good way of getting that marketing going?
Yeah,
and what
excellent
those results
question.
are?
Yeah,
because I've seen plenty of them, but none of them are all that great. It's like you can go download them and install them on Analytics, but have you seen anything that's good that we should be looking at?
I haven't seen anything like really stand out. I know that I need to set up like Data Studio on mine. that's long overdue. And like you mentioned, there is a kind of a library of different reports that people have set up where you can look at that. I think it's definitely hard because Google Analytics isn't going to tell you how much money that you got exactly from each channel. The closest thing that you can do is like I said at the top, when you set up goals, you can assign dollar amounts to each goal conversion. So if your goal let's say that a goal conversion is submitting a contact form and going to a thank you page. If you give that an arbitrary value of $10 or something like that, you can measure the goal conversion by channel and get a rough idea of how many leads you're getting per channel. So I mean, that's only something you can set up different goals like that. But that isn't the exact translation of like how much business you're getting from that. It's basically an estimation based on the value that you're giving it. I think to really get like the true data, you have to do something like Bridget was mentioning, where you have a spreadsheet of actual customers or clients and like the channel that they came from. So like I said, that might be a thing if you run an e-commerce store. I know, lots of people who do that, or people who sell contracting services. They have a little thing like, where do you hear from us? And you can put that in a spreadsheet, but you have to have a system for that, for actually measuring it.
Yeah.
So, but nothing in Google Analytics is really going to tell you that with accuracy, because they don't know how much money you're actually making.
Yeah, I mean, we've been doing a lot of UTM codes and using those as ways of being able to, to track that. And it requires the people that are sharing those links to remember to use them.
No.
Do you have any good solutions to like explain to folks how to use like whatever tool that you're using or whatever type of system that you're using to do those links? Do you have any good like suggestions to remind like, your clients, hey, this is how I'm tracking stuff. And by the way, like if you want to know what that ROI is, I can't tell you what the return on that investment is until you actually track it appropriately.
Right.
Do you have any suggestions for that?
Yeah, great suggestions. So like for those who don't know too, like UTM links, it's basically parameters that you attach to the end of a web address or a link, and it'll basically show up in Google Analytics as that channel. I know some people that add a UTM to the Google My Business, like so where it says like your website, the link, they put that in there so that shows up as specifically, because otherwise I don't think it shows up in Google Analytics. I think otherwise it shows up as direct. And direct as a channel doesn't mean that people just typed it in.
It doesn't? Wait, stop. What does it mean then?
It means it's everything that they don't know, like exactly where it came from. It includes people who type it directly in, but that's not.
But that's not all it is.
It's not all it is. It's everything that is not, that they can't determine.
Yeah,
that's a total mic drop. I feel like crying now.
That's the fallback. Yeah, and that's where like somebody goes and takes out your business card and then they go and type in the web address. You have that sort of thing, and that's where like that's why people were so adamant of like having these like special domain names that they would use to be able to like send people to, because they could say like bridgetsbusinesscard.com, and that's going to be like the they know where that's coming from. It's just like the same thing way back in the day where you'd have phone numbers and you'd have to generate a phone number for a specific dial-in for each of the different catalogs and each of the different newspapers and magazines and whatnot. So it still goes back to like us at the church. We have this exact same problem where we throw a web address up on the screen and we're like, hey, so pull out your phone and go to this special web address. But unless it's unique to the rest of the campaign that you're doing, you're not going to know one way or the other where those people came from. Maybe based on time or something like that. But if we record our stuff, people can go and watch it later. Well, you've now lost that uniqueness. So that's where those like those parameters at the ends of the URLs are important, because at least you can use that as a way to determine where those people came from. And typically when you're putting this stuff in like Facebook or you're putting this in an advertisement or something like that, you're able to to specify right then and there, this is what that link is.
So
I see that you're melting about this.
Like you could put it you could do your UTM codes, which I think are a total pain in the ass, by the way. I don't do them. I mean, clearly I should. But what if you did that and then used Bitly and then shared that link with people?
Yeah, you can do that.
Yeah, that might work. Yeah.
But still, if they watch it again, you don't know if it was live or not.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about that. You just want to know that the person saw it based on the place that, they were at, at the time. You don't really care about the exact moment or whatever. It's more along the lines of, did they go and click on that link or not?
Wow.
Or go to that special web address.
Yeah, my brain is just, wow.
So
I mean, you can't introduce yourself on a podcast and go, "Hey, my name is Bridget Willard. You can find out more at bit.ly.com.
No, but you could say you can go to
capital 7632.
No, but you could tell them go to bridgetwillard.com/link or bridgetwillard.com/bio or
like the
bridgetwillard.com/ yeah, or make another domain name.
Yeah. Well, that's why affiliates use those coupon codes. Like we've got a special offer for our WP Blab listeners. Use code on WP Blab, and then when those come in, they know that those customers came from the podcast.
That makes sense.
Yep.
Wow.
So those are tricky things to do, which is kind of what we were, kind of going through here is how do you navigate that? And I think you have to plan way far ahead. There's plenty of tools that you could do that. And I'll even make my tool or tip of the week this week to discuss a little bit about that. But it's, they're tough. They're tough.
Yeah, that's crazy town. I'm so spontaneous. That's what I'm realizing from this whole conversation. I feel like every time I'm on this show, which is every week, it feels a little bit like a come to Jesus moment. And I have these like little epiphanies where, wow, I'm not really even a marketer. I woke up today thinking I wasn't even a copywriter. And then Jen Miller was like, I think we need to have a conversation. Like, but you know what I mean? Like, so like, what would you say, John, like to get somebody started, they're just, they're pivoting to web. They're realizing they need to spend money on the internet because of what's happening. And how long it lasts, nobody knows. Some people think it'll be forever. Some people think it'll blow over. I mean, there's protesting right now about wearing masks at Costco in New York. And then other people are like, whatever, that's just fine to wear a mask. Personally, I don't like wearing a mask because it makes me feel claustrophobic. And I kind of start feeling like I can't breathe. Okay. So like I have a little, I get panic attacks. So, and then not to mention the whole thing with people who read lips for like, that's deaf and hard of hearing, I'm not even technically hard of hearing, but I realize I read lips more than now I'm realizing how much I do read lips because I don't hear that well. So when somebody's talking like this and it's all it's muffled anyway. And then you can't see their lips. It's really hard. You have to your brain is just tired. Anyway, that's a whole nother accessibility situation. Anyway, so let's okay, this whole conversation's been overwhelming. They've hung with us for 43 minutes. What's still okay, let's just baby step this thing. Where do they start?
Okay, so the first thing, honestly, the first thing you should do is if you've got a website, make sure you have Google Analytics installed. One of the things that you want to bookmark again is under the acquisition tab, all traffic, source medium. Get familiar with that or put it on your home dashboard so you can kind of see where your visits are coming from. Next thing you need to do is set up goals within Google Analytics and determine what those are going to be. Like I said, the one that makes the most sense is submitting a contact form. Easiest way to do that is make it when people submit it, go to the thank you page so you can measure that URL. That's the easiest way to do it. But you can set up other conversions as well. If you have forms like if you can do this thing. Next baby step is determine like what your marketing budget is. Determine where you think your customers are. Try those channels. Don't try like too many all at once, because you won't really give like anything to any of the channels. But give like an honest effort for at least a month toward whatever channels you believe your customers are on, and then measure what's coming in. See if there is more traffic coming in from channels that you're putting money into, and then also measure where your customers and clients are coming from. Put that in a spreadsheet, and you can determine like the quality of the overall leads that you're getting.
Wow, that's perfect. That's a good 7-step method. I love it. The show notes are gonna be so easy. But I do have a cramp in my hand from writing them. That was great. Really great advice, John, as always. But we're at the Tooler Tip of the Week section, aren't we, Jason? Do we have a sponsor for that?
We are at the Tooler Tip of the Week section for that. This Tooler Tip of the Week is brought to us by Cloudways. Cloudways is optimized for speed and delivery, outstanding performance, security, all sponsored or all supported by 24/7 365 support by expert cloud engineers. Cloudways extends your in-house team and takes care of all your server management issues. It lets you focus on building amazing websites for your online business. If you like what you heard hearing about Cloudways, go check them out over at cloudways.com for a 3-day free trial. That's cloudways.com.
Who's going first?
I'll go first.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Yeah, and I'm going to put this in chat. Again, this is this article that I mentioned from my friends over at Hook Agency in Minneapolis. This article on digital marketing budget. Again, check out their stuff. They break down, how much of your overall revenue the small business administration advices that you put toward it. It'll show you the trends of where people are spending, how much you're spending on digital marketing, what they're expecting to get out of it.
Oh,
yeah.
Love that.
And
Instagram.
again, yeah. And I'll tell you too, I like the web design on this site. It's pretty good. So
that's beautiful.
Yeah.
I love pie charts, man.
What were some big
charts and
takeaways from this one? What were some big takeaways from this one?
My big takeaways is you should spend probably about 6 or 7% of your total revenue on marketing. And it's really interesting that I think it was like 41% of all businesses are either spending on content marketing or SEO. So I found that very interesting. So obviously, people find that valuable, and most people, 44% of them are doing that to increase the leads. So one thing that I thought was interesting as well is the part of the marketing spend. This is kind of a counterintuitive thing, but the percentage of marketing spend that will go toward digital marketing in 2020, the 36% of people said it was less than 20% of their marketing budget. So that means people are still doing things like trade show or print ads or TV or radio. So
wow.
More so than digital marketing, which I would count as like SEO, social content, and video. So,
yeah, and when you're spending that marketing budget, determining which places are the best places to spend it is probably the harder part of it. But I think the simple fact that you need, like you were saying, maybe you need to spend a lot more money on that marketing, which overall means that if those marketing efforts go well, that you'll be making more money just in general. But that marketing effort isn't including the person that you're paying to do the marketing effort. So take that into account, because just because you're paying somebody to do marketing doesn't necessarily mean that that person is doing marketing for you until you actually spend some money behind it.
What do you mean?
So what do you mean? Like if
I get hired, I'm part of people's. I'm a vendor.
Well,
they
I know,
pay me
but
to
like
do the marketing. That's not.
But if you're being asked to go and do either like boost campaigns or spend money on advertising, yeah, I know, but there's still marketing sides to that, isn't there? I mean, advertising.
I think the marketing budget includes the person that's doing the marketing.
Yeah, I think so too. I would say that too. I'll say this too. I think there's certain industries where you have to spend on TV and print and radio, like lawyers, like area lawyers. You have to do that.
Just to kind of qualify a little bit what I was saying is that if you're gonna have somebody who's gonna be managing the marketing side and the advertising side of that business, they need to have that ammunition, that money to be able to spend to do it. And if you just say, okay, here you go, I'm paying for you, now go to work, they can do whatever they can do with what they have available to them, and that's it. And if you don't give them some money to actually go and spend to do those efforts, then you're going to get whatever they're able to produce, and that's it.
You need a budget for advertising dollars.
Yep.
And for tools.
Yep.
And for other vendors. 100%.
And
sorry, I was just like, what?
Yeah, no, I didn't want to make. I know, I was essentially saying,
don't put me out of business on the podcast.
No, I wasn't trying to do that at all. But yeah, those are hard things to navigate if you've never done this stuff before, and we're hoping that we can help you out with some of that
and not make you more confused. But if we did. My tip is the subtle art of not giving a bleep for because I know maybe some young people now. Okay, wait, but if you are adverse to this 4-letter word and it's not blogging or blog, then you're not going to want to read this because it's like gratuitously sprinkled everywhere. I mean, this book makes Gary Vaynerchuk sound like he never says fuck. But it's making a point. It's being absurd to demonstrate absurdity. And basically, I mean, I'm only on chapter 3, which is You're Not Special. I had to wait and not read that when I was feeling a little too sad. But the thing is, like, it's about, of course, we care about things, but you need to care about the things that are worth caring about, right? I remember when I was first married, what used to really bother me was the fact that my husband would have a cup or a can, an empty soda can, and then go, oh, it's empty, and then leave it on the desk and then go get a new one. Okay? And so for the first year of our marriage, I was like so annoyed. Like, you already got up, go take it with you. Or you put his glass on the counter and not in the dishwasher where it belongs. Okay.
Yeah.
And then I realized after year 1, he's 57 years old at this point. Do I want to spend the rest of this marriage arguing about this one thing? No. Until the day he died, literally, I'm not kidding. Until the day he died, I collected glasses all over this 1,200 square foot apartment. Okay, super small. Maybe it's not even that. It might have been 1,000 square feet. I have no idea. It's really small. There's not that many places to put glasses. Every day I collected them from all over this apartment. So like when I'm reading this now, I'm like, okay, I get his concept. Like things that are bugging us. What is really bugging you? Is it that thing or something else deeper? And if it really doesn't matter that much, then don't spend your energy thinking about it. Because right now where I live, And part of my whole problem with dating, and then why I always think about I should move, is I don't fit into the Southern California positive vibes, man. That's not me. I don't care that you surf, and I don't care that you kayak. I'm glad you have hobbies. What do you want to do together? Like, that's my whole thing.
Right.
But if you think I'm negative because I talk about reality, like, we're not going to get along. Right. And I'm not a negative person, which is funny because most of my friends are like, you're the most positive person I ever met. Until I start meeting people who are like, positive vibes only, man. I'm like, okay, whatever.
No, I couldn't hang with that either.
Like, life isn't positive. Okay. There's yin and yang, you know, and he even talks about the story of the Buddha and, you know, how he came to be. And I was like, whoa, I didn't know that was Buddha's backstory, because Buddha was a real person, like Jesus was a real person. I mean,
Right.
I'm not promoting Buddhism. I'm saying he was a real person who had a real history. But the thing is, like, I was like, we want everything to be all black or all white, and that's not reality. So there has to be some gray. There has to be some things that really matter. What matters to me is that I pay the rent, I pay my car payment, and I pay my health insurance. And so that's what I give a F about, right? So it's not that you don't care. It's just that you don't care that your husband leaves glasses all over the goddamn house every day of his life for the 23 years that you were married. So 365 times 23, that's how many days there were glasses all over the house, or soda cans. Diet soda because he was diabetic, but yes. So, I mean, if that's you and you find yourself reverting, I had a 37-year-old recommend this to me, and I'm reading it.
That's awesome.
Just so you know, too, that's not so bad. Could be a lot worse.
Oh, no, I know. There were worse things, but I'm not going to talk about being a step parent and how horrible that is.
Yeah.
It's soul crushing. It's a soul crushing experience. I never want to do it again. But anyway, what's happening with you, Jason?
So I wanted to. I'm gonna talk about what we talked about probably, I don't know, I want to say maybe it was like 20 or 30 episodes ago, where
which is where like nobody remembers.
Yeah, exactly. Which is why I wanted to bring it back up. I'm probably not the best person to describe this, so I'm hoping that John can help me out a little bit with this. But the tool that I'm going to share is Google's URL builder, campaign builder. And so what this does is it makes it so that you can make those codes that we were just talking about. And this tool is probably not the best tool to do this. And I'm going to show you one that I use that's a little bit better. But what it does is you fill in the blanks. It's like you put in the web address that you're going to, you put in the campaign that you're going to be using, which for this one was WPwatercooler. We were using MailChimp as our campaign thing that we're going to send it out to. We named the campaign. This was our December 1st mailing. You can put in terms and content in there as well if you wanted to. But then what it does is it generates this this URL here. And what it does is everything after this question mark is that code that we were talking about. So you have UTM_source equals the thing that we put in the first box, then the thing we put in the second box, and then the thing we put in there. If you're somebody who, like me, who uses Google Chrome a lot, and you want to be able to generate these quickly, there's a tool that you can install, which is called the Google Analytics URL Builder. And what this does is you can set up presets, and these are like different presets. This is the ones that come with it. So this is like just the basic presets that are in here. And then what happens is when you go up to the top here and click on this, you get those presets listed in here. So it's all figured out. And then what I do is hit copy URL, and it will generate that URL for me. What we were talking about earlier is if you want to use a URL shortener, you can actually do that as well. Over on the left-hand side under shortening URL setup, you can go here and put in your bit.ly information, and it'll generate a bit.ly link for you. So then when we go back over here, yes. So when we go back over here and we tell it to go and generate that, that link of, let's say we're doing like a Facebook CPC or something like that, and we're going to do it for WPwatercooler.com, you can see that it generates that URL down the bottom here. And then if you hit shorten and copy, it'll make a shortened version of it.
Rad.
Ta-da! So you don't have to do anything special other than
like
click this little
ta-das.
link in the top. Yeah. John, have you ever used something like this?
I have, but mostly for clients who want something like that. I'm like Bridget. I like to keep things like simple but yeah, I mean, this is like, yeah, I have used stuff like this, and this is useful if you want to get specific information about specific campaigns and you're doing a bunch of different ones. You can kind of measure effectiveness using that because it feeds more information into Google Analytics.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. Well, hey, John, we're about ready to wrap up. Can you tell us where you people can find you online?
Yeah, 2 places. The first place is my YouTube channel. I'm there every day. Make a video. I think I skipped like 1 day in the last like year. But if you just search hashtag lockdown SEO, or if you search John Locke SEO on YouTube, you'll find me. So go ahead and subscribe. And the other place you can find me is my website, which is lockdownseo.com.
Awesome. All righty. Well, I'm going to say thank you. Patreon.com/WPwatercooler, and you can subscribe to our content as well as clicking that bell to get notified of our content. Go over to WPwatercooler.com/subscribe where you can subscribe to this content and all the other content as well. Thanks, folks. Wow, that audio is super loud. I got to fix that.
I was going to say.
Oh, man. Hey, stuff happens, right? So there you go. So thank you very much for hanging out with us. We appreciate it. Talk to y'all later.
Bye.